years are very important to us. Please hold on, and our program will begin shortly. The Soundcheck podcast is coming up. Please continue to hold. Keep up with the Soundcheck podcast and everything that's happening in the New Sounds empire. Just go to newsounds.org and follow us on social media. All of the icons are in the top right corner of the page. All of our other musicians are currently playing for other customers. Please stay with us, and someone will play for you in just a moment. From newsounds.org and the studios of WNYC in New York, welcome to another live performance in our Soundcheck podcast series, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm John Schaefer. The Norwegian bassist Sigurd Hole is generally thought of as a jazz musician, and for good reason. He's played with many of the great jazz musicians on Norway's thriving jazz scene. But he's also a composer, and his most recent project is remarkably both small and intimate and also big and ambitious. It's a 2 LP set called Lys Mørke, which means light, darkness, and it's all solo double bass. Well, almost. It was recorded on an Arctic island, and the sounds of that island are part of the record as well. Now, we don't have the island in the studio with us, but we do have Sigurd Hole, and he is going to play a piece for us called Horizont. That is the Norwegian bass player and composer Sigurd Hole, spelled Hole, and a piece called Horizont, which you will find on his brand new album called Lys Mørke, Light Darkness. Officially not out until February 14th, although available in this country, at the same time that Sigurd will be performing at Carnegie's Weil Recital Hall on Monday, February 3rd. Sigurd, it's great to have you back here.
Really nice to be here, John.
Last time you were here was with the Norwegian pianist, Tord Gustafsson.
Exactly, that's a couple of years now.
Yeah, but this project is totally different.
Yeah.
What gave you the idea to do a whole project of just the bass on this island in the Arctic Circle?
Good question. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's I also released a solo bass album a couple of years ago called Elvesang. So you could say my solo work is the result of, I think, many years in different bands, searching for different ways to use the double bass, both as a accompanying instrument and also as a solo instrument to, a lot of the things I've done have been inspired by the Norwegian folk music, so it's been quite a different approach to the bass than,
Well, I mean,
normal bass playing.
when you think of Norwegian folk music, you think of the hardanger fiddle,
Sure.
the seljefløte, which is the willow bark flute, and the langeleik, the dulcimer thing.
Yeah.
There's no double bass in traditional Norwegian folk music, so I guess you had to make a place for it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what fascinated me with this approach, that it was sort of unknown territory in a way to approach this music with the bass. So really inspired me to dig into that.
Yeah. But on the one hand, as I said in introducing you, it's a small project because it's just you and the bass.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it is a 2 LP set. There's a lot of you and the bass.
There is.
How do you maintain interest over such a long period of time with such minimal musical material?
I spent a lot of time, should I say, orchestrating the instrument, finding different ways to play, to create different moods, different timbral characteristics that has different feelings to them, and I work really specifically with developing compositions from and improvisations. I must say, much of the material is improvised, although based on some composed ideas. So trying to get this distinct sound for each piece. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that to build a whole dynamic curve through the album. It ended up being a double album. That was a surprise to me as well. I didn't intend that going there, but listening to it afterwards, it felt right too.
So you found enough different ways to orchestrate the instrument to sustain the longer period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, just in that 3-minute piece you played for us, there are some unusual techniques. You know, there's the flute-like sounds of the harmonics. You're playing sul ponticello down by the bridge of the instrument, and lots of other. I mean, it's not that these are extraordinarily unusual techniques, but
Absolutely not.
But they're just part of. There's a whole spectrum of sound, I guess, you can get from this instrument.
Yeah, it is. But like you say, it's not like I know it is brand new, that I made it up in any way. But my idea behind going into it is that I just find it really funny. I always have to have this sort of childlike approach to the instrument, to just see how can I make it sound in different ways, making different music. And so it's really, in many ways, a personal research project with me and the bass.
All right, but it's about more than just music.
Yeah,
because
true.
You recorded it on this island up in the Arctic Circle off the coast of Norway.
Yeah.
How big an impact did the place have on the album?
Really, really big, I would say. I really enjoy going because I feel maybe as a musician and composer, and maybe especially as an improvising musician, that your surroundings when you play, they have so much to say for the music that you create, for what comes out. And so I made the decision to go there. I actually went there 2 years earlier and spent 1 week on this island, just checking out new ideas, being a lot outside in nature, recording outside, and making improvised music videos actually to recordings. I made video recordings. So
now, how do you take an instrument that's organic? It's made of wood, How do you take that outside and not have it just like crack in half?
Well, you watch the weather forecast for sure.
Uh-huh.
Obviously it can't be raining. That's really important. And I had an amazing sound engineer with me who knows everything there is to know, I guess, about placing mics and making things sound good both inside and outside. So it was definitely a teamwork when we were there to make it sound good.
Yeah. So in addition to the bass, we get to hear the island. We hear the wind whistling by, and
yeah, you do. That's true. It's really like that approach. As you say, I play a lot with these nature tones, overtones, which are already in nature. So it makes sense to embrace that approach in many ways. And also, I'm really concerned about how nature are reflected in us as human beings. So this is also looking at that side of the.
And I suppose once you're above the Arctic Circle, you're in a place where the effects of climate change are becoming much more apparent than they are in some other parts of the world.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, even further north from where I was in Svalbard is
the big island.
The big island almost at the North Pole.
Yeah.
It's actually this place on Earth that has been warmed the most since pre-industrial times. It's almost 6 degrees warming on Svalbard.
Wow. So and isn't that the island where they keep all the seeds in case, certain plant species go extinct? They have the seeds kept there, but it's all dependent on keeping them cold.
It is.
Keeping them frozen.
Yeah, that's so true. I just, you're totally right. Yeah. So if it gets too warm there, that won't work anymore.
Harbinger of doom. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
We're speaking with Sigurd Hole. He's performing for us. Now, you mentioned folk music. This next piece you're going to play for us comes from the Norwegian folk tradition, right?
Yeah, it does. It's called, I just have to tune a little bit before starting that. It's a song I played in many different settings over the years. It's called Eg veit i himmelrik ein borg, or just a short version would be himmelrik, which means something like there's a castle in heaven.
Right. So it's a religious. I mean, a lot of Norwegian folk music. There are obviously secular songs, but it seems like there's a very strong kind of folk tradition built around old hymn tunes.
Yeah, that's true. This is definitely an old hymn, for sure.
Yeah.
There are so many really beautiful melodies of these old hymns, and I like them both because of that, and also because of the most spiritual aspect of it.
Yeah. All right. So are you in tune for this piece? Or?
Let's see. Almost.
Okay. While you finish up there, let me just remind everybody that Sigurd Hole, in addition to playing for us here today, is playing at Carnegie's Weil Recital Hall, playing some of this music to celebrate the release of the albums, the 2-record set, Lys Mørke, Light Darkness. That's on Monday, February 3rd, and the album will, in fact, be unofficially but physically available that night. Looks like we're ready to hear Himmelrik. Once again, a folk song from Norway arranged and played by Sigurd Hole. Wow. Sigurd Hole performing live here in our studio in a version of the Norwegian folk song, the short version of whose title is Himmelrik. The full title is?
Eg veit I himmelrik ei borg.
Okay, so a castle in the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I don't know if you've studied, for example, Indian raga, but
not much, a little bit, but yeah.
The way you kept hitting the drone, you know, the lowest string and getting that, and the modal character of the melody, it didn't sound like Indian raga, but it reminded me a little bit of the way that music is built.
Yeah,
you know?
I can definitely see what you mean.
Yeah.
I never thought of that, but that's a good, good observation.
So, is this piece, does it always sound like this, or is it different from performance to performance?
Well, the melody is more or less like this. But what happens before that and after that will change. I also sometimes play it bowed, actually. So it depends a bit on the flow of the concert. Yeah.
Right, and of course where you're playing, right?
Of course, where I'm playing is also really important.
Yeah. So how is it to play these pieces that were specifically recorded in this place, on this Arctic island?
Yeah.
How is it playing that music off the island in studios and concert halls?
Yeah. It's of course different, but I try at least to. Well, the experience of being there and making the music on this island, it's with me, no matter where I go. So I feel that having been there, having taken that time, and having made the music in this very special environment, it will always, at least I hope, it will come through the music in one way or another, because it's part of the experience. So I hope it comes out like that as well.
So again, there's something going on other than just the notes and the tuning and the techniques. There's a kind of a spiritual / natural aspect to this music.
Yeah, I would say so.
That is something that you share with the American clarinetist and philosopher and writer David Rothenberg, and he's joining you on your Carnegie performance at Weill Recital Hall. He's written a lot about the natural world and the natural music of animals and things like that. So it seems like you two are kind of simpatico.
Yeah, we definitely have a connection there. So yeah, he agreed immediately to join when I called up and asked. So I'm really glad he's there. He will perform some of his own music and also do a short talk about his work. So that's, looking forward to that.
So the idea of humans trekking into the wild and doing their thing, and yet not wrecking everything around them.
Yeah.
That's a great idea that I think we need to hear more about.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So is it your hope that you and other musicians can do these sorts of projects more?
Yeah, definitely. I want to do it more myself. I find it a really inspiring approach, and I don't think my music will, save the world or in any way, but I really feel a strong need to make. In everything we have to go through over the next years, the changes we need to make to take care of the place we live. There's some drastic changes going to happen, and for me at least, feeling this strong emotional connection with nature as a basis to act upon as modern humans, I think that is really important, and that we feel this love for our natural surroundings.
Right.
Yeah.
So the title, Lys, Mørke, light, darkness, is this an optimistic record? Is it a dark record? How do you see it?
Well, I guess it will be up to the listener to decide, but to me it's, honestly say it's both parts. I found in many ways that it's hard relating to the issues with climate change and ecological breakdown, and the whole thing where we feel that it's really sort of our fault that these things are happening, and how should we move on from here? These are big questions, also emotional and philosophically, really big questions for humanity, I think. So in going through that, thinking about these things, it really has a strong impact on me in the dark sense. But at the same time, I feel also it's possible to see the light in all of that, and finding a way forward that will lead to a better place, I hope.
Yeah. Sigurd Hole here with us in the studio, our new sound studio, this edition of the Soundcheck podcast. So you needed to retune before the last piece, and you'll need to do so again now, right? So
yeah, I will.
If you're playing the bass in a jazz band or an orchestra, usually you just set it and forget it, right? You tune it and you're done.
True.
What is the purpose of all the alternate tunings that you use in this project?
I guess it's back to this question you asked a bit earlier about making making the music to fill this whole space by yourself, to create different dynamic and textural variations in the music. It's really part of that. And also from the Hardanger fiddle tradition, there's lots of different tunings. Because of the Hardanger fiddle, this, I guess it has 8 strings. It's for resonating strings as well.
Right, so there are 4 strings that run under the fingerboard.
Under the fingerboard,
you don't play them, they just resonate sympathetically.
They do. So I don't have that, but different tunings, it's somewhat a similar approach, because then you get this resonation when I play open strings to make different keys sound.
Right, which is the reason that guitarists retune their instrument a lot, folk guitarists especially, to get all those resonant strings, get everything vibrating.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Actually, I have to tell that there's a Swedish bass player, I can't remember his name, but he's made a double bass with the resonating strings, actually.
Really?
It exists, yeah.
Okay. Wow. So George Wellington, our engineer, who is also a double bassist, is asking me to ask you if you know Mark Deutsch.
Mark Deutsch? I'm afraid I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
Maybe I should.
All right. Well, it's just something for you bass players to work out.
We'll talk about that afterwards.
We'll do that later.
Yeah.
Or you'll do that later.
Yeah.
You ready to play this piece?
Yeah, I'll just do a final check and then
All
good
right.
to go.
This one is called Chigi, which means shadow. And once again, Sigurd Hole from the album called Lys, Mørke, Light, Darkness, 2 LP set that isn't out officially until February 14th, but it will be available digitally here in the States on Monday, February 3rd, just in time for the concert that evening at Weil Recital Hall. Here's another live performance. That's beautiful. Sigurd Hole live here in our studio, and a piece called Chigi, Shadow, from his 2-record set called Lys, Mørke, Light, Darkness, a live performance. And the alternate tunings really give you access to some very reverberant, very resonant sounds. While you were playing that, George, on the other side of the plexiglass, emailed me a picture of Mark Deutsch and his double bass.
Okay.
Because you were talking before about the Swedish guy who did the double bass version of the Hardanger fiddle. Actually, what this guy, as I look at this picture, it's more like the Nyckelharpa. You know, the Swedish keyed fiddle?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So this guy, Mark Deutsch, has invented a double bass. You see that with all the keys?
Wow,
So
that's cool.
He calls it a bazantar.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I would have to check that out.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
that's,
tip.
That's your homework for tonight.
Yeah, it is. Great.
Sigurd Hole, it's been a real pleasure having you back with us in the studio. Congratulations on the record, and we'll look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thanks, John. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you.
This is Soundcheck.